Before you speak up for the library, there's a step most people skip. They start talking before they understand the room they're talking in. That's how advocacy turns into noise. Well-intentioned, passionate, and completely misaligned. You've probably seen this happen. A library talks passionately about literacy when the community is worried about affordability, or promotes programs when people are asking about safety and belonging. The message isn't wrong, it's just out of sync. Effective advocacy doesn't begin with talking, it begins with understanding. Libraries don't exist in isolation. They exist inside real communities with priorities, pressures, and limited attention. Every town, city, and hamlet already has a conversation happening about what matters most. Priorities change constantly. The question is whether the library is listening closely enough to join that conversation in a meaningful way. If you don't understand what your community values, even the best message will miss. When people think about local decision-making, they often focus only on municipal council. Council matters, but it's not the whole picture. Communities influence councils. Culture influences priorities. Public perception shapes what feels urgent and what feels optional. Good advocates understand all three. They pay attention to what people complain about. They notice what people celebrate. They listen to what shows up again and again in local conversations. Listening doesn't mean agreeing with everything you hear. It means noticing patterns without immediately correcting them. Those patterns tell you more than any single meeting, survey, or focus group ever will. Understanding your community doesn't require special access or insider knowledge. It requires curiosity. Advocacy fails when we listen only long enough to prepare our response. Read the town's strategic plan, not to memorize it, but to notice the language. Pay attention to local news and social media, not to argue, but to observe. Listen in everyday conversations, at the rink, at the coffee shop, and after events. People are constantly telling you what matters to them. Advocacy starts with being a good listener and taking that information seriously. There's another trap advocates fall into. They assume what people say they want is the same as what they actually value. It often isn't. People might say they want lower taxes, but they value strong services. They might say they want fewer programs, but they show up when those programs meet real needs. They might say they never use the library, while quietly relying on the benefits it provides to their neighbors. Good advocacy recognizes this gap and speaks to values, not slogans. This is where libraries are uniquely powerful. Libraries already support the things most communities care about most: education, connection, economic resilience, and belonging. The problem is not alignment. The problem is often visibility. When you understand your community's priorities, you can position the library not as an extra, but as part of the solution. Not, here's what the library does, but here's how the library helps with what you already care about. Once you understand what your community values, advocacy stops feeling forced. The library's role becomes easier to explain because it's already connected to something people care about. If you understand your community, the next step is learning how to talk about the library in a way people remember, repeat, and believe.